Good afternoon. No. My name is Kevin O'Keefe, and I'm a senior screenwriting major here at Loyola Marymount. I'm also the editor-in-chief of our on-campus news organization, the Los Angeles Loyolan. It might be rare at other schools to see a university president walking across campus, unaccompanied by handlers, sleeves rolled up, and interacting with students, faculty, and staff every step of the way. Not here at LMU. It might be rare at other schools to see the president speaking at the school newspaper's annual retreat every single year, but not for our president. It might be rare for the university president to ask a student to introduce him at his annual convocation address. Yet, here I stand. Suffice it to say, President David Burcham is not any other school's president. He is truly LMU's president. He is devoted to this university's unique mission statement in every way. I had the pleasure of interviewing President Burcham last week for a profile I was writing for the Loyolan. I asked if now, in his 4th year, he was as excited as ever to be this university's president. His answer was, simply, I love this place. He said it so effusively and with so much passion that anyone, even someone just meeting him, would know it to be true. He is filled with pride for the LMU community, so much so that his love flows through his every action and his every word. He truly embodies what it means to have the heart of a lion. It is therefore my distinct honor and incredible privilege to introduce President David W. Burcham.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Kevin. I feel like maybe on a high note we should just go have lunch. But let me especially express my gratitude to you, Kevin, for your service as editor-in-chief of our award-winning Loyolan completely student-run newspaper. We as a community have been facing a tough series of issues over the past several weeks, and the Loyolan's coverage and treatment of these issues has been thoughtful, balanced, and insightful. Thank you to you and your staff, Kevin. Good afternoon, trustees, regents, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends of LMU. Thank you all for coming. And I'd like to extend a special welcome to the chair of our Board of Trustees, Kathy Aikenhead, and a loving welcome to LMU's First Lady, Chris. This afternoon, I'm going to break tradition and offer my remarks with only 2, not 3 major points. Although I imagine it's safe to say that each point has some subparts. First, I would like to highlight briefly some of your progress and accomplishments over the past year as a reminder to all of us to keep our eye on the big picture as we move this fabulous university forward. Second, I want to talk about the last 8 weeks, the difficult issues that we have addressed, the fissures that have occurred in our community, and the lessons that I have learned. First, our progress. At last year's convocation, I said that LMU was on the move. Today, I am happy to tell you that this forward movement continues to build momentum, and we have made significant advancements in a number of areas. You may remember that I asked each member of our community to redouble their efforts to work constructively together, to find common ground, to compromise, notwithstanding the inevitably varying views on almost any subject that exists in an academic setting. Now, I can't say whether the results we have achieved were because of this request or in spite of it, but I can state with conviction that our university pulled together beautifully to produce results that are truly outstanding. By working effectively together as a team, we accomplished the difficult work of moving our strategic agenda forward to further enhance our academic stature and strengthen our nation mission. Last year at this time, the deans of our 6 colleges and schools and their faculties, as well as the leaders of our key staff service divisions, were charged with developing operational blueprints that laid out specific courses of action to advance our strategic plan principles. I'm pleased to say that all of those blueprints are now complete. Each unit has done the hard work of determining how to best focus our efforts. Priorities and the resources needed to achieve them have been identified. Funding and evaluation plans are in place or still being developed. This is a major success because the unit-level plans are the navigational maps by which we will guide our university closer to our goal of academic excellence in all areas and proceed further along the path of reinforcing and advancing our Jesuit and Marymount mission and identity. As we participate in the actions that are detailed in our plans, we must remain committed, championing our goals toward completion of each of the benchmarks that has been set. We must stay alert and be open to new opportunities that arise, responding flexibly to necessary course corrections. In this way, through the cumulative effects of continued effort, we will succeed in building the bright future of our university as envisioned in the 6 guiding principles of our strategic plan: excellence in transformative undergraduate education, leadership in graduate education, promotion of the teacher-scholar model, commitment to local and global citizenship, advancement of our Jesuit and Marymount traditions, and development of a culture of continuous improvement. These principles, these 6 principles, are the way forward. They are our guideposts. They are, each and all, a return to our first principles. We have also successfully completed development of our new core curriculum, shepherding it through ratification and commencing the implementation phase. This has been a monumental effort. By attempting to integrate the Jesuit emphasis on classics, philosophy, theology, and the promotion of justice with a Marymount commitment to faith, culture, and the arts, our new core curriculum offers broadened avenues for educating the whole person, and it strengthens us. This fall, our incoming freshmen selected from among 75 first-year seminars as part of their first experience with our core, and these seminars were designed to immediately engage them in the rigors of an LMU education. Through oral discussions, written exercises, and our peer review process, they will be taught high-level reasoning and communication skills that will guide them not just here at Loyola Marymount for the next 4 years, but it will guide them for a lifetime. As many of you are aware, I am no fan of the various ranking systems to which all universities, graduate, and professional schools are subject each year. But many of the constituencies important to the university, not the least of which are the prospective students and their families, place considerable weight on how we fare in these rankings. And to that end, I'm pleased to report that many of our schools and departments rose multiple spots in the national rankings, and our university as a whole again did exceptionally well. Thank you for all of that. I am also proud to say that this year's retention rate from freshman to sophomore year at 91.3% is near an all-time high. The retention rate is an important metric because for many students it is an indicator of basic satisfaction with their LMU experience. We have learned through hard work and collaboration between the Academic Affairs Division and the Student Affairs Division that the best predictor of student retention is engagement. Engagement with professors, with staff, and with our robust Student Life program. Thanks to each of you for helping make the LMU experience positive. These are just a few among many examples of the extraordinary things we have accomplished by setting our sights high and staying true to our objectives. I look forward to many more in the weeks and the months ahead. But now I want to remind us of the manner by which all of these improvements and advancements were realized. Throughout the lengthy and difficult process of strategic change, I have been privileged to witness countless instances of LMU colleagues treating one another with respect, with dignity and consideration, while debating deeply held beliefs. These experiences have been profoundly gratifying and inspiring and even at times moving to me, because it is this distinguishing feature of our great university that we need desperately in order to navigate the course that lies ahead. It is a demanding course because for all the progress we have made, we still face formidable challenges. As we are all keenly aware, higher education remains under siege on many fronts. Many people, from government to the press to employers, persistently question whether a college education is worth the cost. On our own campus, we worry about keeping an LMU education accessible to a broad diversity of students regardless of their economic situations. To help address this issue, you will recall that last year I announced a $100 million initiative exclusively aimed at student aid. I'm very pleased to report that we have already secured in excess of $23 million in new money for student scholarships. And listen up, friends, trustees, regents, and donors, we still have a ways to go, so I emphasize that every dollar of scholarship support will go toward helping to lift the burden of tuition costs off students and their families. I say that and emphasize that because you may have heard accusations that scholarship donations or increased government aid can have the pernicious effect of reducing pressure to decrease tuition, but that won't be the case here at LMU. Our scholarship funds will be used strictly as replacement, and not a supplement, but as a replacement for tuition revenue. We also face the challenge of increasing commoditization of college degrees. As online learning and for-profit universities compete ever more aggressively with traditional classroom instruction, we must adapt to new technologies even as we hold fast to our Ignatian values. Competition makes the playing field rougher, yet it forces us to ask why students choose to attend LMU and why should they choose to attend LMU over any other traditional or online university. In turn, this prompts us to work harder to enhance and innovate the content of the experiences that we offer our students. This is extraordinarily important because while educational degrees can and will become more commoditized, the educational experience of being a student will not. The open-ended parameters of real life itself provide an entire universe of learning options that are not available within even the most advanced virtual programming, and LMU excels at providing real-life, hands-on educational experiences for our students, from volunteering in a foreign country to conducting laboratory experiments or producing a performance. Students simply cannot engage in such rich participatory endeavors through a computer. That's simply not a role that machines can play. We are a human being, interpersonal, relationship-intensive enterprise. Helping students experientially develop wisdom and devotion that transcend the narrowness of marketability and career concerns has always been a fundamental objective of our Jesuit and Marymount educational tradition. That obviously is not to say that we don't train our students to compete effectively for jobs. Of course we do and we must. But what it is to say is that we do much more than that. I thank and professionally congratulate each of you on what we have achieved in the spirit of compromise, respect, and accommodation. What we have accomplished together is enormously significant, and how we have accomplished it is equally important. The challenges of access, affordability, career preparation, and technology are formidable, but I believe there is even greater urgency to confront the immediate challenge posed by the events of the last 8 weeks. These weeks have been trying and at times tumultuous. I would like to talk about them in a personal way, focusing on what I have learned about myself and about our community. First, and I know this comes as no surprise to you, especially to my wife, Chris, but I am far from perfect. In reviewing all the recent events, I have recognized areas where I could have done better. Being an administrator, like the jobs each of you perform, is often difficult. My beloved late brother Donald, a Down syndrome special person, used to say to me, actually more like mutter to me, when he was reprimanded for some reason, "Nobody's perfect, brother. Nobody's perfect." I heard Donald's voice in my ear a lot these last weeks, not as any source of an excuse, but rather as a plain statement of truth. I am not perfect, we are not perfect, but I do promise, like I know each of you, that every decision we make must be made in good faith with the best interests of the entire LMU community at heart. I promise to you I will always continue to try to improve my performance as your president. Second, I have learned anew what a wonderful, wonderful community this is. We would be hard-pressed to find a subject more divisive than the one preoccupying our time over the last 2 months. It engendered the full range of human emotions, leading to countless discussions, debates, email chains, Facebook posts, and media articles. And yet, through all this emotion, the debates and discussions were for the most part civil, dignified, and productive. This is a true credit to our culture, to you who form and feed our culture, and for that I am profoundly thankful to you. Of all the mainstream media coverage, the sentiment I most disagreed with wasn't in any quotation, but rather reflected a reporter's opinion that the issues with which we are struggling threaten to rip the school asunder. To the contrary, we are strong, we will move forward, we will deal with our challenges, we will fix our mistakes. Third lesson. LMU life has gone on at our university. Students and faculty are working hard in our classrooms, laboratories, and in studios, and during office hours and every other place. Our students continue to impress and amaze me with their energy and commitment to service and justice, and with their academic accomplishments. Our faculty continues to be highly productive in their research, writing, and creative works, while embracing the teacher-scholar model. We have a robust student life program with dedicated staff, providing students with a rich collegiate experience through athletics, service organizations, ASLMU, and myriad other student activities. In all those ways, it's been business as usual. But this third lesson for me is this: we should not consider the past several weeks as a closed chapter, noting that normal-looking university life goes on, and therefore we've turned the page and also can move blithely ahead. That would be a serious form of institutional self-denial, which I am sure can be as deleterious to the collective psychological well-being of a community as it can be to an individual. We have experienced and will continue to experience a significant divide over a fundamental matter, and we have hard work ahead to understand the divide, its causes, its contours, and to create more avenues and space for dialogue and discussion across boundaries, across all boundaries. For this to occur, however, each of us has to be committed to our community, to each other, to our community strengthening before we can move ahead. Fourth, like many of you, I have reflected deeply about what it means to be a Catholic, Jesuit, Marymount University in these times. And similar to a few of you, I'm sure, much of this reflection has occurred at 2 in the morning. The beginning principles are easy enough to state, and I believe that there is probably consensus that these are the bedrock principles upon which our identity rests. Principle 1. We are a university. A university. We are a university that cherishes, pursues, and defends academic freedom. We understand that freedom of the mind is essential to a human being's full development, and indeed is one of God's greatest gifts to us. Concomitant to this freedom is the right in our academic pursuits to dissent, to question. These products of our intellect form the basis of progress. Let me repeat. Dissent and questioning lead to progress. Principle 2. We are a university that has intentionally and purposefully pursued and embraced diversity in all of its forms. We have taken this course over many years, not out of a sense of political correctness, but rooted in the firm belief that diversity makes us stronger as a university and provides a rich academic environment in which to learn and work. Principle 3. We are not a parish, a seminary, or convent, but we are a Catholic university. We are not and will not be shackled by a pall of orthodoxy, but neither are we USC or Pomona. Our Catholic, Jesuit, Marymount identity has meaning. And I suggest that a perceptive person who spends any amount of time on our campus will witness many signs of our Catholicity. We have frequent and beautiful liturgies right here in this chapel. Our Office of Campus Ministry sponsors many faith-based programs for students, Catholic and non-Catholic alike. Our Student Affairs Division oversees alternative breaks, service organizations, and many events designed to inculcate the value that an LMU education is not solely a self-centered project, but should also develop a commitment for our students, for all of us, to be women and men with and for others. Our new CASA program in Argentina focuses intently on the Jesuit value of academic rigor and intellectual development through experiential learning and standing in solidarity with the poor. We have many programs for faculty and staff that are designed to allow us to explore our own spirituality, and our faculty have undertaken numerous and extraordinary efforts to work with our students in the pursuit of a more just world. In short, I believe our Catholicity is obvious and palpable, but recent events suggest that its contours are not, which leads to the next lesson. We have to continue our dialogue. It must be inclusive and across all the divides and boundaries, lest any of us speak in an echo chamber. But we must all understand that the issues discussed over these past weeks are, first and foremost, primarily women's issues. We men must be careful. We men must be careful to listen more than we speak, to understand the best that we can. To this end, in consultation with the Faculty Senate, the Staff Senate, the Jesuit community, the women religious, and other relevant constituencies, we will be appointing a coordinating committee to organize campus-wide discussions about our Catholic Jesuit Marymount identity. And I will ask this committee at the end of this academic year to present me with important observations and recommendations. Let me be real clear. I harbor no illusions that the discussions will produce agreement over many of the core issues. Diversity and inclusiveness are about understanding, accepting, and embracing differences, not producing agreement. Lastly, there is one final lesson I have learned in recent weeks. Great apprehension exists within some quarters of our community that LMU's Catholicity is going to be increasingly defined in the future in a narrow, doctrinaire-based way, not in the rich, inclusive approach that has been one of the hallmarks of LMU's culture. I have a simple response to this apprehension: not on my watch. What I ask of each of you today is a commitment to work through these issues constructively and intelligently, but most importantly, together. Avoid the echo chamber. It is imperative that we do so. Why is this imperative? Let me suggest a few reasons. Tyler Barnett is a junior graphics design major. He states that at LMU he has, and I'm using Tyler's word, he has had the opportunity to grow spiritually and intellectually through service, work experience, and being a member of a community that values self-expression and personal growth. Catherine Pagan, a senior majoring in classics and active in Eta Sigma Pi and the Gay Straight Alliance, came to LMU because of its landscaping, library, and location. But after 4 years, she says the following: LMU has offered me more opportunity, more experiences, more happiness, and more love than any other place I've ever been. It's the best little place in the world. Yesenia Hernandez, born in Guadalajara, was accepted by UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, Santa Clara, Stanford, and LMU. She came here because, in her words, they offered me a full-ride scholarship. But more importantly, because here together we develop life of the heart, the soul, the mind, men and women for others, knowledge, justice intertwined. Nojeen Ian Park, a senior business major, says simply, LMU's holistic education has been a life-changing experience. Andrea Stern, a senior psychology major, says that as a Jewish student, she was a little apprehensive when she entered LMU. But she has learned that, quote, the campus is so incredibly special in that it fosters discussion and acceptance, a learning environment in which people of all religions, faiths, and ethnicities come together to share and experience each other's cultures. I have attended many masses, and my non-Jewish friends have come to Shabbat services. We explore and expand ourselves to the depths of what's out there in the world beyond the bluff, all within the context of Jesuit ideals of service, social justice, and a strong and enriching education. And finally, Nora Mansfield, a junior psychology major from Indiana, states, quote, because of LMU, I strive to educate my whole person. Because of LMU, I am a woman with and for others. Because of LMU, I live in the service of faith and the promotion of justice. I am an LMU lion. These are 6 students out of a little less than 6,000 undergraduate students. We have similar stories in our graduate division and at our law school. But our students are why we must continue our hard work, our dialogue, and our commitment to our mission. Ours is an exhilarating and noble profession. As the American historian Henry Brooks Adams said, a teacher affects eternity. That's a pretty powerful statement. A teacher affects eternity. What happens in our classrooms and laboratories, on our playing fields, and in our performance halls, in our residence halls, and in our various student organizations may not bear fruit for generations to come, but we must never lose sight of all that is occurring and to which we are contributing in the present and for our future. Loyola Marymount is a place where students grow beyond rote knowledge. We teach them to cultivate wisdom, fair-mindedness, and personal integrity. Having learned to be intellectually and ethically accountable, our graduates go out into the world prepared to help their communities and workplaces remain equally accountable. In doing so, they uphold the promise of our mission that our inspired students will act in ways that help transform our world. LMU students leave us with much more than a diploma and a transcript in their hands. An LMU degree isn't a mere completion of units or a computerized score. It isn't just a piece of paper to hang on a wall. It is a way of life. Last year, I concluded my address with the last stanza of the hymn that is sung frequently during liturgies in this chapel, "All are welcome." This year I want to leave with precisely the same sentiment, but with a more personal touch. It is easy to mouth those words, "all are welcome," as they create for many, myself included, a feel-good moment. But are they truly descriptive of our LMU community? We need to make certain that they are, and merely incanting the words doesn't suffice. These words should be viewed as an invitation coupled with a promise. We each invite others into our community, but we must promise through words and actions that they will encounter a welcoming environment. A welcoming community cannot be decreed by me. It cannot be decreed by the Board of Trustees, by the Faculty Senate, by the Jesuits, by the Staff Senate, by the women religious, by the students, by the Loyolan, or any other individual or group. It is created by the individual commitment and effort of the thousands of members of our community. We must demonstrate by our actions, our individual promise to each other, that we are inclusive, that we are accepting, that we embrace our differences. Then, and only then, we can truly sing with conviction, "Let this house proclaim from floor to rafter, all are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place." Thank you.
President Bertram, may I say thank you so very much for the powerful and meaningful address you've given us today. And thanks to all of you here today. It is now my pleasure to invite all of you to attend a luncheon that's been prepared for us in the Sculpture Garden. Enjoy this afternoon in the good company of one another. Thank you.